So we've come to the final vlog in our series of vlogs that we've been producing for the church. The first one was on an introduction to the question, where are we going as a church? Then we've done 8 others thinking about the signs of the kind of church that we want to be. Tim, do you mind just reminding us what you think the value of us doing this has been?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've just pulled up outside Delta House, which is a great asset to our church. And we have lots of buildings as well, of course, the sanctuary next door and its hall. But actually, more than just church buildings, we're about being a church community. And what kind of community we are is really important. We want to be disciples that honour Jesus in the way we meet together, in our personal lives, in the way we encourage one another. So those are really the tipping points or the markers that will define when we're ready to do something in terms of our buildings, maybe because we've outgrown them or because they're no longer enough for us to do all the ministry we want to do. But there's no point in just investing in buildings unless we know, as a people of God, which is who we're called to be, we're glorifying Him and we're investing in one another and doing everything we're called to do as a Christian community. So it's been really good to go through those 8 markers, and yeah, it leads to a lot of questions that we need to be thinking about as individuals.
Yeah. So with that in mind, we've got 8 questions.
Yeah. Are you committed to and regularly attending church prayer meetings? Are you actively serving in ministries of the church that help others but cost you? Are you committed to and regularly attending a growth group? Do you come on a Sunday morning wanting your needs met or to encourage others?
Are you committed to attending the church meetings? Are you giving sacrificially to the church financially, in keeping with your personal resources? Are you living a distinctively Christian life, Monday to Saturday? Are you praying for and wanting to be led by the church elders?
So Pete, having reflected on those questions yourself, how are you feeling about the way forward at the moment?
Yeah. Well, I think this is a real challenge. I also think it's really exciting. And I say that both on a personal level and for the life of the church. And of course, most of those things that we've been talking about are actually marks of what it is to be a Christian. And therefore certainly marks of what it means to be a member of the church, whether that's people committed to Jesus being Lord and helping one another in that, whether it's the giving, whether it's committed to prayer, whatever it is. They're things inherent for all of us. And so from my perspective, as I think about the church, the challenge is there for sure, but great opportunities for us to better follow the Lord Jesus as individuals and as a church and be the kind of church that God calls us to be. And of course, all of those things are markers that whether or not we end up developing a building here further than we have already or not, are things that we need to be doing. There are also things that are not building dependent. You know, I don't need to have a flashy building in order to be committed to prayer in the life of the church, or any of the other markers for that matter. So regardless of where we end up going, and regardless of whether we end up developing the building or not, which I pray that we do, these are really, really key and really important for us, and therefore, yes, a great challenge, but actually a brilliant, brilliant opportunity for us.
Yeah.
And so, therefore, I think, wouldn't it be great to be able to look back at the end of this year, end of 2020, and be able to see in us as individuals and in the life of the church real growth in these areas, not so that we can show off, but in order that we're better honouring the Lord and actually genuinely asking serious questions about whether the buildings are fit for capacity and whether we need to be developing them more. Not just sort of the internal stuff, not the maintenance stuff, but a church that's going to be, you know, developed and prepared for the next 40 years of ministry to reach this town with the good news of Jesus.
Yeah. So why don't you go back through the vlogs, think about the different markers we've been looking at, look at those questions that have just been on the screen a moment ago, pray about it, think about it. Are you part of a church that is ready to invest our money as well as our faith, our hope, and all sorts of God-given things into the future ministry of this church? Pray into it and commit yourself to being a full part of this church with a vision of knowing and sharing Jesus in this community. And yeah, pray for our future, that God would lead us and it would be for his glory as we live to be fruitful people. Thanks for watching all these vlogs, and we hope they've been helpful.